Tonight, we honor 100 gifted public high school seniors and 5 outstanding educators from across the great state of Oklahoma. We celebrate the excellence and the scholastic achievement of these students and educators. They are the pride of our present, the hope of our future. Now, from the Renaissance Convention Center in Tulsa, we present the 33rd Annual Oklahoma Foundation for Excellence Academic Awards Banquet. Please welcome our Master of Ceremonies, Scott Thompson, Tulsa Television News Anchor, Oklahoma Foundation for Excellence Trustee, and the father of 2 academic All-State alumni.
Good evening. Thank you. Boy, I'm most proud of that last thing. 2 Oklahoma All-State alumni. Welcome to Tulsa. Welcome to this beautiful evening where we celebrate the best of Oklahoma public education. These wonderful students who have achieved so much and who have such a bright future, and the teachers who have guided them and shown patience and shown them the way from preschool all the way through our fine universities here in Oklahoma. We're very, very proud of you. It was just last year, as we might note, Holly and I were sitting where you are as proud parents with Jack, and 4 years earlier with Will. So I know how exciting it is tonight, how proud you are, and I hope you relish in that. I hope you enjoy every single second of tonight because it's dedicated to you for all that you have done, and we're so proud of you, and that's why we do it for you. I am, of course, honored to be a part of this great celebration of excellence in Oklahoma's public schools. This banquet is unlike any other event in our state, any other, because it salutes remarkable leaders in our public schools, both students and teachers, who have gone the extra mile through their service to others, their creativity in the classroom, and their passion for learning. Their passion for learning, that's what's important. Their example encourages each of us to aspire to excellence in our own lives. The theme of our banquet this evening is Shoot for the Stars, recognizing the power of public education to help students achieve greatness and to prepare them for unimagined careers and opportunities that the future holds. We can't even imagine what awaits these young people. It's simply astounding. The annual Academic Awards Banquet is the flagship event of the Oklahoma Foundation for Excellence, but it is only one of the many programs that this foundation administers year-round in its work to recognize and encourage academic excellence in Oklahoma's public schools. There's no other organization like this in Oklahoma. Our foundation is training and inspiring teachers through professional development grants to attend national conferences in their chosen fields. The Oklahoma Foundation for Excellence works together with Colonial Williamsburg to bring American history to life and prepare tomorrow's citizens. Our Born Mentoring Initiative promotes the growth and development of quality youth mentoring programs. And through our Oklahoma School Foundations Network, we have helped build one of the nation's largest networks of grassroots support for public education with local school foundations. I proudly serve on the Sand Springs School Foundation. It's inspiring, I have to tell you, at our trustee luncheon in September, when the people who run these programs all come together and talk about what they've done for the year, and then we're introduced to people who have been impacted by those programs, all those 5 programs. It's remarkable, the stories that you hear there of how far-reaching this foundation is and the work that it does, and it's very inspiring, and it makes me proud to serve on it. Through the visionary leadership of our founder and chairman, David Boren, and the faithful support of our many trustees and donors, the Oklahoma Foundation for Excellence has made a lasting impact in our state's public schools. And we have sent a message to Oklahoma public school teachers and students that we value what they do and are willing to invest in academic achievement and excellence. And now we've come to the academic all-staters. This is the exciting part. There they are back there, who have been selected through Oklahoma's most rigorous academic competition on the basis of scholastic achievement, extracurricular activities, and community involvement. Each has invited a special teacher to be his or her guest at tonight's banquet. We recognize these students and give them an opportunity to introduce themselves and their teacher guests. Presenting our students with academic All-State medallions will be 1996 All-State alumna Diane Eason-Contreras, Director of Immigrant and Refugee Services for the YWCA in Tulsa, and 1990 All-Stater Jared Cottle, a civil engineer and now the city manager for the city of Bixby, Oklahoma. As the All-Staters introduce themselves, we ask you to hold your applause. I know that's tough, parents. Hold your applause until all the students have been recognized. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the best of the best, your Oklahoma Academic All-Staters for 2019.
Hello, I'm Alistair Shvierkosh from MacArthur High School in Lawton, and my teacher guest is my English teacher, Miss Amanda Binke.
I'm Anna Lasson from Plainview High School, and my guests tonight are my chemistry teacher, Mrs. Becky Smith, and my counselor, Mrs. Carla Pickens.
I'm Audra Crisp from Hydro Weekly High School, and my guest tonight is my anatomy and physiology teacher, Reed Allen.
I'm Michael Dixon from Durant High School, and my guest tonight is my math teacher, Miss Nita Newton.
Hi, I'm Katie Baumhoff. I'm from Okarche High School, and my guest this evening is my history teacher and high school counselor, Mr. G.W. Parham.
My name is Caitlin Long, and I am from Ardmore High School. My guests tonight are my AP Literature teacher, Mrs. Debbie Herndon, and my superintendent of schools, Mr. Kim Holland.
I'm Jaden Callies from Putnam City High School, and my teacher guest tonight is my Latin teacher, Dawn Duffy-Ralph.
My name is Tara McLaughlin. I go to Carl Albert High School, and my guest tonight is my teacher and coach, Mr. Jeff Mays.
My name is Bethany Binks, and I'm from Quinton High School, and my teacher guest tonight is my former band director, Miss Mary Adcock.
My name is Erica Vanderheiden. I'm from Stillwell High School, and my guest tonight is my history teacher and high school principal, Matthew Brunk.
Hi, I'm Rajveer Korpe, and my guest tonight is my European history, capstone, and government teacher, Mr. Michael Horn.
I'm August Nielsen from Charles Page High School, and my teacher guest tonight is my calculus teacher, Jay Roder.
Hi, I'm Sanjeev Musavathi from Jenks High School, and my guest tonight is my English teacher, Joy Edwards.
Hi, my name is Rio Bonham from Medill High School. Tonight, my teacher guests include my biology and environmental science teacher, Miss Kelly Goff, and my ag teachers, Mr. Bart and Miss Michelle Harper.
Hi, I'm Payson Ramirez from Blair High School, and my teacher guest tonight is my math teacher, Mr. Rod Zachary.
I'm Gracie Scarborough from Alva High School, and my teacher guest is my AP Science teacher, Mrs. Dana Manning.
My name is Dawson Simroth. I attend Yukon High School, or attended, and my guests are my lovely parents, Jason and Julie Simroth. They're my best teachers.
My name is Seth Robbins. I'm from Pauls Valley High School, and my guest tonight is my AP Biology teacher, Jonathan Wheeler.
I'm Kevin Wiafi from the Oklahoma School of Science and Math, and my guest tonight is my American History professor, Dr. Michelle McCargish.
My name is Gabrielle Barber from Eisenhower High School in Lawton. My teacher guest is my AP Chemistry and Calculus teacher, Catherine Hergenrether, as well as Melissa Gritz.
I'm Aaron Reed from Verdigris High School. My teacher guest is my mother and my English teacher, Natasha Reed.
I'm Olivia Porter from Booker T. Washington High School, and my guest tonight is my Spanish teacher, Lindsay Monguano.
My name is Jay Shoemaker. I'm from Newcastle High School, and my teacher guest is David Stewart, my robotics teacher.
I'm Jamie Bowen from Norman High School, and my guest tonight is my physics teacher, Dr. Matthew Peck.
I'm Hayden Spillers from Bixby High School. My teacher guest tonight is my physics teacher, Mr. Davenport.
I'm Macy Cates from Deer Creek High School, and my guest tonight is Miss Leanne Snavely, my English teacher.
I'm Thaddeus McLean from Bing High School, and my teacher guest tonight is my calculus teacher, Miss Kristen McGahey.
I'm Laiba Akhtar, and I'm from Union High School, and my guest tonight is my AP Government teacher, Mrs. Eldridge.
I'm Quincy Collins from Leedy High School, and my guest teacher tonight is my English teacher, Serena Kauk.
I'm Harper McIntyre from Edison High School, and my guest tonight is my calculus teacher, Mrs. Kyler Phillips.
I'm Evan Eshelman from Norman North High School, and my guest tonight is my English teacher, Miss Tracy Bates.
I'm Ashlyn Ferris from Miami High School. My guest tonight is my English teacher, Miss Cassie Jocelyn.
I'm Joshua Robinson from Norman North High School, and my guest teacher tonight is Miss Amy Lawson.
I'm Bailey Winkle from Coweta High School, and my guest tonight is my science teacher, Mr. Gordon Schultz.
I'm Blake Cope from Piedmont High School, and my guest tonight is my math teacher, Miss Antwine.
I'm Casey Anderson. I'm from Skytook High School, and my guest tonight is my math teacher, Mr. Cody Dybel.
My name is Brian Montgomery. I'm from Piedmont High School, and my teacher guest tonight is my history teacher, Kenneth McQueen.
My name is Rochelle Zampella from the Oklahoma School for the Blind, and my guests tonight are Orientation and Mobility Instructor Faye Miller, Assistive Technology Teacher Robert Miller, Principal Lynn Craig, and Superintendent Rita E. Kelly.
I'm Matthew Thomas from Chickasha High School, and my guest tonight is my robotics instructor, Brandon Willis.
I'm Caitlin Mantooth from Wayne High School, and my guest tonight is my former art and English teacher, Miss Michelle Matthews.
I'm Zachary Perry from Seminole High School, and my guest tonight is my AP Chemistry and Physics teacher, Mrs. Colleen Shelb.
I'm Julian Cordray from Owasso High School, and my guest tonight is my band director, Sean O'Kelly.
I'm Christian Eden from Hare High School, and my guest this evening is my science teacher of 3 years, Elizabeth Smith.
I'm Chloe Hart, and I'm from Chandler High School. My guest tonight is my English teacher, Carol Oswald.
Hi, I'm Taos McIntyre. I'm from Guyman High School. My guests tonight are my physics teacher, Mrs. Deandra Fankhauser, and her husband, and my principal, Mr. Randy Williams.
My name is Bree Kissling from Chisholm High School, and my guest tonight is my pre-K teacher, Mrs. Mindy John.
I am Alexander Lunsford. I am from Shawnee High School. My guest is my robotics team mentor, Colin Burney.
I'm Tess Haddock, and I'm from Glencoe High School, and my guest tonight is my math teacher, Mrs. Rebecca Higgs.
I'm Callie Asher. I'm from Kansas High School, and my teacher guest tonight is my academic bowl coach and math teacher, Mrs. Cam Cochran.
I'm Liza Williams from Bartlesville High School, and my guest is my Spanish teacher, Christina Arguello.
I'm Toby Heifel from Cherokee Public Schools, and my guest is my chemistry teacher and school counselor, Anita Jordan.
I'm Tori Wood from Sequoia High School, and my guest is my Cherokee teacher, Helen Henry.
I am Michael Yu from Edmond Santa Fe High School, and my guests tonight are my math and science teachers, Randy and Sherry Blackwood.
I'm Colleen Osmond from Norman North High School, and my guest tonight is my second grade teacher, Ms. Whitney Lawrence.
I'm Grace Brassfield from Claremore High School, and my guest tonight is my Technology Student Association advisor, David Eisenbart.
I'm Karina Fang from Norman North High School, and my guest tonight is Miss Kara Martinson, my English teacher.
I'm Sophia Ferguson from Deer Creek High School, and my guest this evening is Katie Donahue, my AP US History teacher.
I'm Jeanette Huang from the Oklahoma School of Science and Math, and my guest tonight is my American Literature teacher, Professor Scott Wilkins.
My name is Margaret Drummond. I'm from Bartlesville High School, and my guest this evening is my English teacher, Jen Ward.
I'm Emma Bollinger from Stillwater High School, and my guest tonight is my calc teacher, Mr. Larry Hessler.
My name is Madison Rice. I'm from Bixby High School, and my guest tonight is my history teacher, Randall Briggs.
My name is Bailey Vogt from Broken Arrow High School, and my guest tonight is my former English teacher, Miss Lisa Dixon.
I'm Ty Aldridge from Jones High School, and my guest tonight is my science teacher of 4 years, Pam Dooling.
I'm Vanessa Heath from Westmore High School, and my guest tonight is my AP Spanish teacher, Mrs. Lindsay McDonald.
I'm Niket Corella from Booker T. Washington High School, and my guest tonight is my math teacher, Jason Abercrombie.
My name is Andrew True, and I'm from Westmore High School, and my guest tonight is my AP Chemistry teacher, Miss Carolyn Ravine.
I'm Richard Hasagawa from Booker T. Washington High School, and my teacher guests tonight include Courtney Davison, John Waldron, Mark Braunschweig, and Mariko Takahashi.
I'm Dylan Wynn from Southmore High School, and my guest tonight is my AP United States History teacher, Miss Alana Whiteblade.
I am Dylan Delcall from Harding Charter Preparatory High School, and my guest tonight is my journalism and online news teacher, Mrs. Kelly Taylor.
I'm Kyler Inman from Newkirk High School, and my guest teacher for the night is my band director, Mr. Faulkner.
I'm Ruby Gail Etzel. I'm from Watonga High School, and my teacher tonight is my English-Spanish teacher, Miss Christy Lorenz.
I'm Cassidy Holman from Noble High School, and my teacher guests tonight are Miss Lacey Turner, my AP Literature teacher, and Mr. Brent Peck, my AP Biology teacher.
I'm Reagan Benton from Elk City High School, and my teacher guests tonight are my AP Chemistry teacher, Mr. Roger Shockey, and my AP Psychology teacher, Mrs. Lena Llewellyn.
I'm Heidi Askelin from Mustang High School, and my teacher guest is Miss Caroline Neal, my AP Bio teacher.
My name is Alex Kim, and I'm from Enid High School, and my guest tonight is my math teacher, Miss Sandra Bush, and my principal, Mr. Dudley Darrow.
I'm Tao Zhu from the Oklahoma School of Science and Math, and my guest teacher tonight is Dr. Jayanta Rudra, my physics professor.
I'm Adam Sorrell from Midwest City High School, and my guest tonight is my English teacher, Julie Adams.
Hello, my name is JD Wright. I am from Altus High School, and my teacher guest tonight is my math teacher and academic team coach, Miss Cindy Bailey.
I'm Mohan Victor Otto from Norman High School, and my guest tonight is my physics teacher, Mr. David Askey.
My name is Gracie O'Rourke. I'm from Bethel High School, and my teacher guest tonight is Miss Bryn Johnson, my AP Literature and Language teacher.
I'm Blake Rowland from Tishomingo High School, and my guest tonight is my high school principal, Robert Frederick.
My name is Emily Miller from Classen School of Advanced Studies, and my teacher guests tonight are my piano instructor, Mary Corey, my choir director, Miss Jessica Cook, and my forever teacher, my mom, Susan Miller.
I'm Sam Scheidler. I'm from Stillwater High School, and my guests tonight are the amazing English teacher, Heather Anderson, and my mom and math teacher, Tina Scheidler.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, your 2019 class of Academic All-Staters.
Isn't that wonderful? From the four corners of Oklahoma, from robotics to physics, from agriculture to pre-K, you never know when you're going to touch the life of a child and at what age. And I hope you teachers who were just mentioned there and who were here tonight, I hope your hearts are bursting with pride tonight. You deserve it. Our congratulations to those 100 academic All-Staters. And now we turn to the Medal for Excellence Awards. Each recipient of one of those receives a prize of $5,000. In addition, each honoree will receive an etched glass roots and wings sculpture like you see here in front of the stage. With the creation of these pieces, Ron Roberts honored the statement, "There are two things we should give our children. One is roots and the other is wings." Presenting our Medal for Excellence Awards this evening are 5 accomplished academic All-State alumni who are leaders in music, leadership development, law, education, and engineering.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first award presenter this evening is a 1995 All-Stater and composer whose award-winning music has ranged from solo songs to works for full orchestra. Please welcome from Regis University in Denver, music professor Loretta Nodoreski.
When Kathy Adams began her career 30 years ago as a special education teacher, she discovered early on that students learn to develop resilience, not from success, but from dealing with their struggles and frustration. Today, Kathy is a school counselor at Piedmont Elementary School, where she teaches social emotional learning and bullying prevention. Mrs. Adams works directly with classroom teachers to help students learn empathy, goal setting, and coping skills, often incorporating literature in her lessons. She has created several small groups to meet students' needs, from the Cool Kids Club, which teaches anger management, to Good Grief, a group for children mourning the loss of a loved one. Recognizing the traumatic experiences that many children face, from having an incarcerated parent to living in poverty, Kathy leads her school's efforts in trauma-informed instruction. She has also launched 2 mentoring programs to provide children with extra academic and emotional support. A 2018 Oklahoma Teacher of the Year finalist, Kathy Adams is a master at teaching critical social and emotional skills that will help students become happy, resilient adults.
Is it okay to feel mad or angry sometimes? Yeah. Absolutely.
Children today are under a lot of pressure from themselves, pressure from family to do their very best, always succeed, be the best you can be.
Those students need emotional needs met first before they can meet their academic needs. And that's where Miss Adams will go above and beyond to help those students.
She taught me how to share my feelings with others and how to talk to people, how I feel. She taught us some really good strategies, which I use a lot of them now. All through the grades, I've learned hundreds of strategies. It's really cool.
There's a mailbox that they can slip a note in, and then Mrs. Adams will come and get them, and it's a lot less threatening.
She has this little rule where if it's a friend problem, she usually waits 2 weeks, but if it's not solved, then she comes and gets you and tries to figure it out with the friend.
I think Miss Adams just has that spirit about her. She has a very calm demeanor, and I think that kids instantly kind of feel connected to her.
1, 2, 3.
PAL stands for Piedmont's Awesome Leaders. The student council at the high school, they come over to our school and they work with our 4th grade students.
It makes a huge difference in the lives of our students, but we have no idea the difference that it makes in our high school students as well.
A lot of the kids in this program are either in like single parents or they struggle with the subject. And so coming over here to help them either study or just talk to them about like life lessons or whatever, it's really, it like shows that you can make an impact on anybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, the recipient of the Oklahoma Medal for Excellence in Elementary Teaching from Piedmont Elementary School, Kathy Adams.
Thank you to the Oklahoma Foundation for Excellence and its donors for making this award possible. I'm honored to work for Piedmont Public Schools with an incredible group of administrators, teachers, parents, and students. A special thank you to my parents, who were my first teachers, for your love and support. Imagine a career where each day you have the opportunity and privilege to positively impact a child's life while teaching critical skills and instilling in children the importance of demonstrating empathy, tolerance, and compassion for everyone. I'm fortunate to have experienced this for 30 years as a special education teacher and school counselor. I am passionate about providing all my students with their personal toolbox full of self-esteem, resilience, confidence, and the desire to discover their talents. Education is one of the few careers where you, as an individual, can change the direction of a student's path in life, whether it's through reteaching a lesson, utilizing a different technique, or being the teacher a struggling student knows will be there to listen, support, and guide. I teach children empathy, bullying prevention strategies, career exploration, and the social emotional skills necessary for success. Assisting teachers and their students dealing with a tragedy, helping parents struggling with family issues, teaching coping skills to alleviate the effects of trauma or anxiety, or celebrating a student's accomplishments, both big and small, are the means through which I support children and their families as they build a foundation of those essential tools that will help them navigate through life. Education is a bridge that connects children to this amazing, ever-changing world that will be their future. I'm proud to be part of that bridge as a teacher and counselor in Oklahoma. Thank you very much.
Our next presenter this evening is a sought-after speaker, leadership trainer, and cultural entrepreneur. He is the co-founder of Paradigm Shift, a leadership development firm in Muskogee. Please welcome 2000 Academic All-State alumnus, Jared Murr.
The great author F. Scott Fitzgerald once wrote that through literature, you discover that your longings are universal longings, that you are not lonely and isolated from anyone, that you belong. As an English teacher at Lawton Eisenhower High School, Michelle Churchwell inspires students to develop a lasting love for literature and to see it as a mirror for their lives and their shared human experience. Ms. Churchwell makes literature come alive by reading aloud to her students so that they can experience the tears, the laughter, and the struggles of fictional characters and navigate difficult passages together. She models the power of literature to connect us all. Ms. Churchwell also connects students to one another and to the community through Ike Ignition, a mentoring program that matches freshmen with upperclassmen for leadership lessons and community service. Together, the students have raised more than $100,000 and donated more than 700 service hours to fight hunger in their community. We are privileged and delighted that many of those Ike Ignition mentors are here with us tonight. As a teacher and program advisor, Michelle Churchwell is empowering students to use their voices for positive social change.
Having an elementary school background, I decided we're just going to read out loud. That way, I know that they are understanding the material. I know they're reading it. I can read and enjoy it with them.
When Ms. Churchill reads to you in class, it just puts you in the story so much better. When she has the enthusiasm that the character in the book has, it just makes you enjoy the book so much more.
They're learning that there's a great big world out there other than themselves and their phone, and that's big.
I think a lot of people are distracted by social media, and there's just too many distractions in this world, and she knows that books and literature is what can really bring us back down to earth, so to say, and I appreciate that.
Ike Ignition has two missions: service and leadership.
And I think that the passion that Ms. Churchwell has that's rubbing off on these kids is really just bleeding out through the whole school. So Ms. Churchwell's caring hard is influencing all these kids to care so much about each other, and I think that's just creating more and more kids that are caring about their fellow students and their community as well.
She makes it real. Hunger's a real thing. And so just by her being concerned, and she is always there doing every activity with them.
She gave me leadership, she gave me honor, empathy. She made me build that skill to where now I can talk to anybody and I can express my feelings. I walk around the school with my head high knowing that I have a favorite teacher that's by my side.
I love my students. I tell them that they're the reason that I come to school every day. There are some kids who really go an entire day. Some can go an entire week without someone telling them that they're special, that they're loved. And so I hope they know that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the recipient of the 2019 Oklahoma Medal for Excellence in Secondary Teaching from Eisenhower High School in Lawton, Michelle Churchwell.
I can't remember a time I wasn't surrounded by books. I also can't remember my mother ever telling me no when I would ask her to read to me. We may have read Don't Forget the Oatmeal 10 times that day, but my mother was never too busy, never bored by the book. The spine of the book may have been cracked or even stripped, but every single time we opened it, she was as excited as if it were the first time. From the beginning, I equated reading with nurturing, security, and maybe a snack. My mother was my first teacher, and along with many others throughout my time as a student in Oklahoma public schools, she is the inspiration for my teaching. My favorite days at school are the days that my students and I can just read. No test prep, no packets, no PowerPoints, no pressure, just reading. Not all of my students have the same relationship to reading that my mother so carefully cultivated in me. Many struggle with reading and don't have someone at home who can spend the time to bring them to grade level, let alone foster a love of language. For at least the 50 minutes that they're with me, I strive to create the environment that my mother and my teachers created for me, one in which the content comes alive and their worries take a back seat. I can assure you I am not the exception. I'm one example of thousands of Oklahoma public school teachers who are creating engaging and nurturing spaces for our students every day. I am a product of Oklahoma teachers, and I thank them all for their example. Thank you to my family, my husband, my children, my mom and my dad for your constant support and encouragement. Thank you to my friends, my colleagues, and my administrators. And lastly, thank you to my students for allowing me the honor of being your teacher. The magnitude of that honor is not lost on me. Thank you.
Our next award presenter this evening is a 1987 All-State alumna and a partner with the law firm of Miller & Johnson in Oklahoma City. She is a champion for public education, serving as president of the Mid-Del Public Schools Foundation and president-elect of the Oklahoma Foundation for Excellence. Please welcome Jamie Rhodes Antonise.
The best leaders instill in people a hope for success and a belief in themselves. Since joining Mid-Del Public Schools as superintendent in 2015, Dr. Rick Cobb has brought hope and optimism to students and teachers and rallied the community to provide unprecedented support for the district. Dr. Cobb is a man who listens to lead. When he began planning for a much-needed bond issue, he sought input from students first, then reached out to teachers, families, and community to ensure that all voices were included. What resulted was the landslide passage of a $130 million bond issue to renovate arts and athletic facilities and improve school safety, technology, transportation, and instructional materials. Dr. Cobb's inclusive and caring leadership style has helped the district to become a state leader, serving students who face trauma and helped Mid-Del teachers and families feel supported during last year's historic teacher walkout. As the author of the popular blog OK Education Truths, Rick Cobb helps shed light on the many obstacles facing public schools and brings hope and encouragement to education supporters statewide.
My leadership style is to be inclusive. I want to hear from as many people as possible. When we started talking about having a bond election in 2016, it actually started with a conversation with our Superintendent's Advisory Board, which is our high school students from around the district.
It's meant so much that he wants to hear our opinions and that he really cares what we think and who we are as individuals. The football stadiums are being added to. Those are the places that people from other schools, they come to. And it really helps define how we see our school and the pride that we have in it, knowing that we have these amazing facilities.
And really, as he would go out to the community, it always was, is this right for kids? Every decision was based on what is right for kids at the moment and what's right for our future students.
It's amazing to get behind a Middale school bus and see that thank you, that so inspirational, right? He said, let me thank the community, not just one time, but every time they see a Middale school bus, let me thank them for supporting that vision.
I love that my job is different every single day. There are no 2 days alike. My job has purpose.
We were at the Capitol marching for our teachers, and it really showed us that we have so much power, and if we can unite together, we can achieve the unimaginable.
My 10-year-old daughter got to walk beside him for part of the walk, and just to see her hope in her future was in his hands.
Once we started walking, there were just people lined up all the way out of Del City. It's one of the 5 best days I've had since I've been superintendent.
Seeing him side by side, walking with us, sweating with us, it was just so much, it was inspiring, and it was great to see that you can be a leader without being above everyone else.
There's just this lightness about our educators in our buildings because they have hope, and that's what I think our district has needed for so long.
Please welcome the recipient of the Oklahoma Medal for Excellence in Public School Administration, Superintendent of Middale Public Schools, Dr. Rick Cobb.
As public educators, our job is to make people better every single day. As teachers, that means our students. We find out who they are, what they need, and we match that information with the resources that we have. We teach them. We assess how well that's working, and we adjust. Administrators still have that responsibility to ensure that students are learning and growing. We also have a responsibility to do that with the adults around us. As a student, I had several teachers who believed in me more than I believed in myself, not to mention a mother at home who was also a teacher believing in me. I grew up expecting that was common, sheltered enough that I thought it was universal, and I know now that it's not. What seems extraordinary to me, however, is that from the time I started my teaching career in 1993, I had a principal, and then another one, and then an assistant superintendent, and then a series of superintendents who all invested their time in making me better every single day. When I graduated from college, I never thought I'd leave the classroom. I've had the blessing, however, to have leaders who would tap me on the shoulder and tell me I should try to stretch myself. The 100 academic all-staters here tonight reached this point not by coloring inside the lines and repeating what has already been done. You're here because someone somewhere believed in you. The unique you, not some cookie-cutter version of a high school student. You should find what feeds your souls and pursue it fiercely. We all should. I'm in the middle of my career, still chasing what feeds mine. And as you start college, families, careers, or whatever comes next for you, I hope you'll always protect the space in your life where your passions belong. That's where you'll find happiness and the energy to make other people better every single day. Thank you to the foundation, to the Middale Public Schools, and most importantly to my family, without whom I could not be here tonight. Thank you.
I had to take time to pat him on the back as he walked past. Sorry, I'm a little late. Well, that was great. Congratulations to all of you. And before we present our Medal for Excellence at the higher education level, we have a special treat for you in an evening full of treats. Here's another one. We're grateful to the Oklahoma Arts Institute Orchestra for being a part of tonight's ceremonies. The Oklahoma Summer Arts Institute is Oklahoma's official school of the arts and has been the state's premier arts education program for over 40 years now. If you've never been there in the summertime, it is a wonderful place. Each year, 270 students are selected through a competitive statewide audition process in the visual, literary, and performing arts to study with nationally renowned artists during a 2-week intensive academy held at Quartz Mountain. Dreams come true at the Oklahoma Summer Arts Institute at Quartz Mountain, even if you don't realize what your dream is before you get there. That's the magic of that place. So there is no more fitting tribute than to have this outstanding group of talented young musicians here to help us salute our 2019 Academic All-Staters and Medal for Excellence recipients. Coming together for the first time this afternoon, to rehearse this piece, ladies and gentlemen, the Oklahoma Arts Institute Orchestra, led by conductor Jose Luis Hernandez, founding director of Sistema Tulsa, performing The Magnificent Seven by Elmer Bernstein.
And now we continue with the presentation of our Oklahoma Medal for Excellence Awards. Presenting our next award is a 1999 All-State alumna who is expanding educational opportunities for children as Executive Director of Teach for America in Tulsa. Please welcome Oklahoma Foundation for Excellence trustee, Leslie Doherty.
Before he joined the faculty at the University of Central Oklahoma, Dr. Wayne Lord was living the life that many forensic scientists dream of. During his 21-year career with the FBI, Dr. Lord helped develop the agency's evidence response teams and was chief of the FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit, helping explore the motives of real-life criminal minds. Dr. Lord advised law enforcement agencies across the nation in violent crime investigations and even served as a consultant on the Academy Award-winning film Silence of the Lambs. Today, as a professor of forensic science and biology at UCO, Dr. Lord is doing what he loves best, sharing his knowledge and experiences with the new generation of scientists and law enforcement officers. Dr. Lord utilizes small group problem solving and real-life scenarios to help students put theory to practice. His interdisciplinary teaching has led to the development of UCO's Center for Wildlife Forensic Science and Conservation, an emerging field to protect endangered and threatened species. Dr. Lord's passion for teaching and mentoring, combined with his expertise as an investigator, have helped place UCO's Forensic Science Institute on the map.
When I was getting ready to retire from the FBI, and I had a wonderful career there, I began to look for options where I could pass on essentially my years of experience and corporate knowledge to others that might be able to make a positive difference in the criminal justice system.
His capability, his knowledge could lead him on some leading role in movies and TV series to write stories, and could be very lucrative, could be a lot of fun, but that's not his passion. His passion is working with students.
His real-world experiences and his just the volume of cases that he's worked, is just so invaluable. Things that you could put it in a textbook, but to be able to stand there in a room with an individual with that kind of real-world experience is just something you can't put a price on that.
The students are in awe of what he has done, but he's not the kind of person that publicizes that. With Dr. Lord, you wouldn't know what he's ever done in his life, because his greatest joys and greatest happiness comes from seeing students succeed.
The two most important days in a person's life are the day they're born and the day they discover why. And what we really do here is we try to show them the why.
He is touching these students and preparing them to become crime fighters and doing a terrific job.
I have not been in his classes, but I can imagine his classes will be full of not the discipline knowledge, but also the personal experience, the field knowledge, and all the work he did in terms of biology, in terms of psychology, in terms of crime fighting. It will be fantastic. I wish I can be his student.
And I think treating all of our students as though they are the most important people on the planet, and to demonstrate to them that it's their diversity, it's their individual and unique gifts that make them valuable. They have a role to play. And we hope that that role involves very, very good science and a lifelong mastery of things intellectual.
Please welcome the recipient of the Oklahoma Medal for Excellence in Regional University and Community College Teaching, from the University of Central Oklahoma, Dr. Wayne Lord.
Good evening. Years ago, I was participating in a conference similar to this at the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia. The keynote speaker on that night was Alex Haley, the highly acclaimed author of Roots. In response to the audience's accolades concerning his many accomplishments, I remember Mr. Haley saying this. He said, "When you see a turtle sitting on top of a fence post, you can be pretty darn sure that he didn't get up there by himself." Tonight I am clearly that turtle. And here's why. For more than a decade, I've had the privilege of working alongside a very distinguished cadre of highly talented and dedicated UCO colleagues, many of whom are here tonight, From within the W. Roger Webb Forensic Science Institute, the College of Mathematics and Sciences, the Department of Biology, and numerous other organizations and groups at UCO. Together, and the key word is together. Together we strive daily to motivate, guide, and mentor our extraordinary students in applying their unique gifts and talents to lifelong pursuit of learning, to the development of rich, informed, and purposeful lives, and most importantly, to instill in them a passion for service to others. Few things in life are more professionally inspiring or personally gratifying. Under the dynamic leadership of UCO President Dr. Don Betts and former FBI Laboratory Director Dwight Adams, the Forensic Science Institute seeks to provide the citizens of Oklahoma with a center of higher education dedicated to the quest for investigative excellence, the discovery of forensic analyses rooted in innovative emergent science, and the unyielding pursuit of equality and justice under the law. Our highly talented graduates now serve the citizens of Oklahoma, the citizens of many surrounding regions, the nation, and throughout the world. And we are so very, very proud of their accomplishments, their dedication, and their distinction. When I reflect upon the foundational inspiration that underlies the educational prowess and philosophy of what we do at UCO, in the Forensic Science Institute and elsewhere, I hear the timeless words of the playwright George Bernard Shaw. And those words were also echoed by President John Fitzgerald Kennedy in Dublin, Ireland in 1963, and later by his brother Robert during his presidential campaign. George Bernard Shaw, in essence, said this: "Some people see things as they are, and they ask why. We, however, see things as they have never been, and we ask, why not?" I look forward to many more years of collaboratively guiding the students entrusted to my mentorship in the discovery of their passions, their professions, and most importantly, their purpose. Congratulations, All-State Scholars, on your incredible accomplishments. Thank you, Foundation. Thank you, friends and colleagues, and Godspeed to you all this evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, our final award presenter tonight is a 1997 Academic All-State alumna who oversees more than 1,800 system engineers as an operations manager for Raytheon Missile Systems in Tucson. Please welcome award-winning aerospace engineer, Dr. Yolanda Mack.
It has been said that scientists study the world as it is, while engineers create the world that has never been. At the University of Oklahoma, Keith Stravett, a professor of civil and environmental engineering, is helping prepare students to help create cities of the future. Dr. Stravett learned early in his career that the best way to teach engineering is to present theoretical information in advance, often through instructional videos, so that class time can be used for robust discussion and problem-solving exercises. Dr. Stravett uses a design, build, test approach in his lab classes to allow students to physically engage with engineering concepts. They build self-propelled boats, create potable water, or design wastewater treatment systems. Dr. Stravett likes to say he's not teaching problem solving, he's teaching problem solvers. While Dr. Stravett's courses are among the most demanding, they are consistently among the most highly praised by OU students. Keith goes the extra mile to get to know his students as individuals, to understand their learning styles and their aspirations. Through his patient mentoring, Keith helps students engineer the future of their dreams.
Most students don't know how water is treated. And don't know how we treat our drinking water, and we don't know how we treat our wastewater.
So this is the raw effluent after it's been screened over.
If the students can get to the site, talk to the operators, learn and see what they're going to be building, they have a better appreciation for the design that they're going to be making.
Reading about it in a textbook, doing some calculations about it, and then going out and seeing what you've been doing calculations on actually in reality just brings these concepts to life in a way, and Keith is a master at doing that.
I think he enjoys challenging students. He definitely takes an interest in putting the onus on us to be uncomfortable sometimes.
But I know the students that I've talked to that have been in his classes love his classes. And I really think it has to do with because he is so passionate and so excited that it makes it easy to learn from him.
Keith's teaching deals with concepts that can at times be somewhat abstract, and so Keith works very hard to try and bring practical analogies that the students can grab onto, and that he would walk in and out of the door of the classroom to illustrate molecules moving one direction and the other.
Unfortunately, one year I did that at a new lecture hall. I ran out the back, came around to the front. The door was locked, so I had to run back out and around and come back in. Didn't quite work all the time, but most times it works well.
I think he is probably the most passionate professor I've ever had. Just his caring philosophy and just how he always has the student in mind consistently throughout his teaching.
These are the students that are building the buildings I stand in, building the bridges I drive over, and building the water treatment that I drink from. It is exciting to see them.
So we are looking into sustainable way to treat wastewater in Rwanda. His knowledge, his experience in engineering, it would tremendously prove helpful in where I am. So I don't know. I wish I could. I hope I would take him to Rwanda to meet my family, and
Please welcome the recipient of the Oklahoma Medal for Excellence in Research University Teaching from the University of Oklahoma, Dr. Keith Strivett.
Thank you, Dr. Mack. Dr. Mack is an excellent example of how this foundation can identify our future leaders. I am humbled to even be considered for this award, let alone a recipient. I have experienced indirectly that eureka moment, that moment in a student's eyes when they respond to a concept that has solidified. Eureka, attributed to Archimedes, who shouted it when the concept of buoyancy solidified. Back then it was about the king's gold. Now it's about something much, much more important. It's about our students realizing that they are the next generation of problem solvers and tomorrow's innovators. These students are our future. In my office, I have a plaque that says, "Teaching today touches tomorrow." But as every teacher knows, we are the recipients of an even greater gift, the gift of these students in our lives. As I look at the academic all-stars, the students honored tonight, I see our tomorrow, and it is a wonderful, amazing, and adventurous future we have. I want to thank the Oklahoma Foundation for Excellence for this honor. I want to thank my wife, Stacy, and my children, Anthony, Teresa, Catherine, Mary, and Dominic, for enduring the many nights that I stay at the university and for sticking by me. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to all our Medal for Excellence Award winners tonight. We're very proud of you. Now it's my great honor this evening to introduce our banquet keynote speaker, who is an engineer, educator, former NASA astronaut, and a former NFL wide receiver. Unfortunately, he doesn't have very many interests in life. Leland Melvin is a native of Lynchburg, Virginia, who attended the University of Richmond on a football scholarship, earning a bachelor's degree in chemistry and receiving academic All-American honors. Leland was drafted by the Detroit Lions in the 1986 college draft to play professional football, but a hamstring injury thwarted his NFL career with both the Detroit Lions and later the Dallas Cowboys. Leland's interests in math and science led him to the University of Virginia, where he received a master's degree in materials science engineering. NASA first recruited Leland to serve in its Langley Research Center, where he helped create optical fiber sensors for measuring damage in aerospace vehicles. He was selected to join the astronaut corps in 1998. After facing some challenging setbacks, which Leland will share with us this evening, he was cleared to travel to space twice. Aboard the Space Shuttle Atlantis, there he logged more than 565 hours in space and played a critical role in the construction of a research laboratory for the International Space Station. And we have a lovely discussion here at the table tonight about passing over mid-America at night and seeing this vast swath of Oklahoma bathed in darkness. It's marvelous to talk to him. Leland was later appointed head of NASA education and served as the co-chair on the White House's Federal Coordination in STEM Education Task Force. He retired from NASA in 2014, but retire really doesn't catch it, because you may also be familiar with Leland from his many television appearances. He has served as host of the Lifetime television series Child Genius and has appeared on episodes of both The Dog Whisperer and Top Chef. Leland is also the author of Chasing Space, an astronaut's story of grit, grace, and second chances, and I'm pleased to let you know that all of tonight's honorees are receiving autographed copies of Leland's book as a gift from the Foundation trustees. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished keynote speaker and the only man here tonight in a NASA spacesuit, jumpsuit, Leland Melvin.
Thank you so much, Scott. I told myself if I can still fit in, I'm going to wear it, right? When I came here yesterday, I asked the driver if he had ever been in a tornado before, and he's been here for 30 years, and he said no. And so today, I'm hearing these warning sounds in my hotel room, and I'm like, wait a minute, are we about to be in a tornado? So that's the only thing that I've never been in, I think. And I was almost about to experience that today, but we did not. The Oklahoma Foundation for Excellence, I want to thank you for what you've done to put together a community of excellence. These all-staters that are winning this award, winning the scholarship money, and the educators that are doing the same are what makes our nation great. When we sang the Star-Spangled Banner and I looked at the flag on my shoulder and I think about the people that have given their lives, have given their time, have given everything so that we can be preeminent and we can be excellent as a nation, as a civilization. And I think back 50 years ago in July when we had 2 men walk on the surface of the moon. I was 5 years old, and I was the kid who was standing behind the Sylvania television set, holding the rabbit ears. Some of you don't know what rabbit ears are in here. And I was like the antenna engineer, adjusting the signal so my parents and my sister could see this transmission taking place on the lunar surface. When people after that landing, all the kids in the next day asked me if I wanted to be an astronaut. I said, first of all, I didn't see the landing, so I don't know if it really happened. But secondly, when I did see the images, I said that I didn't see someone who looked like me, so I don't want to be that guy. And I lived in a small town, Lynchburg, Virginia. My mom and dad were school teachers. They taught 30 years in Lynchburg. So for the educators in here, I understand the things that you go through to incite, to inspire, and to motivate the next generation of explorers. I also know that what the foundation is doing to instill this excellence in our educators is that you can't inspire unless you're inspired yourself. And that's such a critical thing that I saw in my parents, where they recharged their batteries every summer to ensure that they could give their kids that bit of hope, that bit of inspiration, that next school year. So I'm this kid in Lynchburg, Virginia, who's not thinking about walking on the moon, but is thinking about picking up a tennis racket, because 5 blocks down the street from where I grew up, there was a very famous tennis player, or 2 of them actually, one by the name of Arthur Ashe, who trained with Dr. Wilburn Johnson. Dr. Johnson was the first African-American doctor to integrate the hospital that I was born in. Now, he was not a great tennis player, but he was a great motivator. And he taught Arthur Ashe and Althea Gibson how to play tennis. My dad spoke of Arthur's intelligence, his excellence, his discipline, his ability to navigate the 60s when all of these things were happening and still be able to win on a tennis court, all of the most prestigious tennis tournaments around the world. That's who I wanted to be. So I started taking tennis lessons. I started hitting the ball into the service court, but I would hit it in 2 inches in from the line, because that's what he had to do at that time to ensure that a ball on the line would not be called out. And I played and I played and I played. And when I was 5, this moon landing happened. But when I was 6 and I was 7, I was hitting a tennis ball. When I was 7 years old, my mother read to me The Little Engine That Could. And what did the little engine say? I said, I think I can. She said, I think I can, right? As she pulled the bigger engine over the mountain. And another book that was in my library was Curious George, The Man in the Yellow Hat. I was similar to Curious George. I would get in trouble many, many times. My parents gave everyone in our community the right to have a hand in my development at any time they wanted. And I experienced that hand many, many times. But I'll never forget when my mother gave me the age-inappropriate, non-OSHA certified chemistry set. And I mixed these 2 dissimilar chemicals in her living room, and I created the most incredible explosion, liberating fire and brimstone, burning a hole in her carpet. Now, my parents were educators. The carpet we had was very nice, and I had just destroyed it. So this 5'2" woman was winding up to give me the true hand in my development. But that one moment of the liberation of these chemicals into fire and smoke, it did something to me. It activated my brain. If you could look at my eyes after that intervention, you could see that I was truly engaged in experiential learning. I knew what it meant to be a scientist. All I needed was a lab coat and some goggles, I guess, right? To be safe. And that's what propelled my curiosity in science. The next summer, my father drove a Merita bread truck into our driveway. As a teacher, my dad did many different jobs. He played in the band. I was his roadie, delivering the speakers and setting up the drums and doing everything when he performed at these different places. But this summer, I thought that we were going into the bread business, because the truck drove in and it said Merita Bread and Rolls on the side of it. And I said, okay, I'm going to be in the passenger seat handing out bread as we drive around Lynchburg, Virginia. My dad had a vision for something else. He told me that this truck was actually going to be our recreational vehicle. I said, Dad, I can read. My reader bread and rolls on the side of this thing. And over that summer, we rewired the entire truck, electrical engineering. We built bunk beds that flipped down on the sofa. My mother made the curtains for the windows. Mechanical engineering, upholstery engineering, I guess. And it wasn't until my father had the truck painted that I could actually see the vision for what he wanted for his family. Over the summers, we drove to the Smoky Mountains. We drove to Myrtle Beach and Virginia Beach. We used this RV to transport ourselves to different places. And I could not see it because of the labeling on the side of it. And all staters, as you go out on your journey, as you look at colleges, as you go through this myriad of experiences, will take you to this next level, will help you rise. Never forget that the labeling is something that you can change, that you can paint over and transform the thing that was purposed for one thing into another. So after that summer of learning that a bread truck could be a camper, I had a different perspective on things. I had become an engineer, I was a scientist, and a little bit later, when I went on to high school, I majored in, well, not majored in, but I took a liking to calculus and chemistry, obviously, because I'd blown things up. And so if I had had my teacher come here as my guest, it would be Mr. Pittis, who was my calculus teacher, and Cornelia Campbell, who was my chemistry teacher, who actually came to my first space shuttle launch and was screaming my name as we walked out get into the van to go to see the shuttle. So high school, I'm a wide receiver on a running team. Any football people in here know what that means. It means that I'm blocking a lot, right? But this one game against Rustburg High School, we were down by a touchdown. I was running down the sideline. I'm running down the sideline, and the crowd is screaming. Y'all can scream. I'm running, and the ball is coming into my hands. The crowd is like energetic and screaming. Now, by a show of hands, how many of you think I caught the ball in the end zone? Show of hands, come on, work with me. By a show of hands, how many think I dropped the ball? Okay, you have a little faith. And I guess the rest of you really don't care, right? So I dropped this touchdown pass in my hands in the end zone at my homecoming game. My buddies are there from college for homecoming, and they're all screaming. And then oh my goodness, jeez. I walk to the sideline. My coach, Jimmy Green, grabs my face mask, and I'm waiting to be thrown to the bench. But he looks me in my eyes and he says, Leland, I believe in you. And I didn't believe in myself. I wanted to sit down. I was embarrassed. But I went back out there. We ran the same play. I ran down the sideline. This time, I was laser beam focused. I could read Spalding on the side of the ball. It was coming into my hands. And in the end zone, I caught the ball. We won the game. And unbeknownst to me, there was a college scout from the University of Richmond watching to see if I could play for the Spiders as a wide receiver. When he heard the crowd screaming the second time, he walked back in the stadium, and he saw me in the end zone, like doing a little dance, you know. He said, this guy failed in such a horrific way. His friends are there, his family's there, but he did not give up. He kept going. That one catch resulted in a $180,000 scholarship to the University of Richmond because someone believed in me, just like the man in the yellow hat believed in Curious George. So some of the advice that I gave the students earlier today was that make sure that you align yourself with someone who believes in you, no matter what's going on in your life. Make sure you have at least one person that's there for you in that capacity. I got to college, my freshman year, we were 0-10, goose egg and 10. And we ranked how bad the games were by how many knee operations there were on Monday morning after the game. This was not my idea of college football, right? But we got better my sophomore year, my junior year, and my senior year to where, as Scott said, and thank you, Scott, for that introduction, the scouts were coming to look to see if I could play in the NFL. I got drafted to the Lions, and as he said, I pulled a hamstring in training camp. But as I was waiting to go play with the Dallas Cowboys, this professor from Richmond said, Leland, why don't you go talk to a professor of material science engineering at the University of Virginia? I'm like, well, you know I'm going to play with America's team, right? Come on, why would I go do that? He said, well, just go talk to him. So I go up there and I talk to this professor, and he says, what are you doing? I'm saying, I'm driving as a courier for my agent, waiting to go play with the Dallas Cowboys. He says, well, how much are you making? $5 an hour. He says, well, I'll pay you $10 an hour to be a research assistant. Sold. I moved to Charlottesville. I'm working as a research assistant, and then January comes around, and he asked me to enroll in the master's program for material science engineering. I'm like, why am I going to do that? I'm going to play with America's team in 3 months to start minicamp. He says, well, just do it anyway. So I start taking 2 courses in material science engineering. They videotape the courses and mail them to me in Dallas. So this is like the old school online learning, right? VHS style. And so by day, I'm catching footballs for America's team. By night, I'm watching material science engineering courses. And I get injured again. But my backup plan is already education. I finish my master's. I work for NASA. I go to work for NASA. What every former NFL player does, they go work for NASA, right? And I get there, and this one friend of mine says, Leland, you'd be a great astronaut. And I'm like, me, an astronaut? Neil and Buzz walking on the moon? He says, yeah, you would be a great astronaut. He hands me an application. I look at it, and I don't fill it out. And the year that I don't fill it out, my friend Charlie Camarda, who I'm working with on this other project, he gets in. Charlie now, he's brilliant. He's PhD, aerospace engineering. He's from Brooklyn. But he's always trying to beat me up. Leland, come here, let me hit you, Leland. So I said to myself, if NASA's letting knuckleheads like Charlie Camarda in to be astronauts, then I know I can become an astronaut. So the next selection for the 1998 class, I apply to become an astronaut, and I get in. There were 2,500 people that applied for 25 spots, and I was one of them. The first thing we did was training, flying jets and land survival, water survival, all these different training scenarios. And the next thing I did was move to Moscow to work with the first crew that was going to the International Space Station. And about 2 years later, I come home ready to finish my training. And one of the biggest parts of training that we do is we call it spacewalking. It's really space crawling because you're like pulling yourself. You're not really walking because your legs are dragging behind you, but that's another story. So we train in this 5 million gallon pool called the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory. You go down about 32 feet and there's a submerged space station and a submerged space shuttle. And the people in your class that get this training first are usually the ones that get assigned to a mission first because they need construction workers assigned to these missions to build the space station. And I was the first person in my class to get that training. As we go down in the water column in this suit that looks like a cross between the Michelin Man and the Pillsbury Doughboy, I noticed that there was a little styrofoam block that's supposed to be in the helmet that they forgot to put in there. It's called a Valsalva pad. And if you're the kind of person that needs to squeeze your nose to clear your ears, the only way that you can clear your ears in this helmet is to press your nose against that pad. And I'm one of those people that have to squeeze. I realized at 20 feet that the technician who was supposed to put that in my helmet forgot to put it in. And at that point, I told the test director to turn the volume up in the headset. After that moment, I hear nothing but static and white noise. I feel I'm being pulled out of the pool. I'm on the pool deck, and I'm thinking that something happened to the communication cable that caused a problem with the comm. They take my helmet off, and I see the doctor walking towards me. And he's moving his lips but not saying anything. And I'm wondering, why is this guy playing with me? This is a serious moment. He gets closer to me. He takes his right finger and he touches my right ear. And when he pulls his finger back, there's a river of blood flowing down the side of my face. I am completely deaf. And they rush me into the emergency room. They do emergency surgery. They go in and move my stapes, and they press on these two windows called the oval and circular window, where they think the fluid is actually leaking out. And there's something called a perilip fistula that could cause me to have this sudden hearing loss. The specialists don't see any problem with my oval or circular window. And they're stymied. They don't know why or what happened to me to cause this problem. Now, if you back up 4 days before this accident, I'm in Lynchburg, Virginia. My parents are having their 35th wedding anniversary. I'm sitting in a car with my cousin Phyllis and her friend Jeanette. Jeanette taps me on the shoulder from the back seat and says, "Leland, I want to share something with you." I said, "Okay." She says, "Something's going to happen to you. No one's going to know why this happened. You'll be healed of this. You will fly in space, and this will be your testimony you share with the world." Okay, all right. Thanks for that little bit of insight there. And 4 days later, I'm in the hospital, and I can't even hear a bomb drop. And the flight surgeons are writing notes to me because I can't hear. They're writing notes to me that tell me, "We don't know what happened. You are now medically disqualified to fly in space." And I am distraught, and I'm crying, and my friends are coming in trying to console me, and I have 17 legal pads of conversations that I've had with my friends. One of the people that came in was the NASA administrator at the time, who was Daniel Golden. And on Daniel Golden's watch, the Hubble Space Telescope was actually deployed. But when it was deployed, it had myopic vision. The mirror that was ground, it was ground just a little incorrectly to the point where every image that came back from Hubble was blurry. Congress was upset, the scientific community was upset, and on his watch, he had to figure out a way to fix the Hubble Space Telescope that wasn't designed to be fixed with bulky gloves and astronauts in Michelin Man, Pillsbury Dough suits. But they figured it out. They changed the optics. They added new instrumentation. And the first image that was taken by the Hubble Space Telescope was called the Eagle's Nest Nebula. It's a nursery where stars are born 7,000 light years from Earth, 1 light year in height. And this is the first thing the Hubble saw. And Daniel Golden gave me this image to say, "I never gave up on the Hubble Space Telescope. I will never give up on you." He became my man in the yellow hat. He believed in me. 3 weeks later, I get out of the hospital. My hearing starts to slowly come back in my right ear. I'm still hearing impaired in my left ear. And I still had the designation DNIF on my medical records, duty not involving flying. I was trying to figure out what I would do as a non-flying astronaut, and then the NASA administration asked me to go to Washington, D.C. from Houston to work in education. They wanted me to help inspire students to nominate their teachers to become astronauts. It was called the Educator Astronaut Program. And we actually hired 3 educators who've all flown in space. Some have done spacewalks. One just came back, Ricky Arnold just came back from space about 6 months ago, where he lived in space for 6 months. And he actually called me on my cell phone while he was up there saying, "Hey, Leland, what are you doing?" And it was pretty amazing. I have the recording. I'll play it for you later. So I'm in Washington trying to get teachers nominated to become astronauts. And I get a phone call from my boss, who's new to NASA at the time, and she says, "Leland, what does it mean when the countdown clock for the Space Shuttle Columbia is now counting up?" I said, "How far has it counted up?" She said, "It's 20 seconds, it's 30 seconds, it's 40 seconds, it's 1 minute." And I was driving on the highway and did an illegal U-turn and turned back to NASA headquarters because I knew that all of my friends were gone. I was dispatched to David Brown's parents' home, which was 2 hours outside of Washington, D.C., to console David's father and mother the night of the accident that he just lost his son in one of the most tragic accidents that have ever been seen in space. I got to the home, I hugged his mom, she had tears in her eyes. I walked towards his father, who was in a wheelchair, and I reached down and I hugged him. And he turned and looked at me with the same blue sparkling eyes as David, and he said, "Leland, my son is gone. There is nothing you can do to bring him back, but the biggest tragedy would be if we don't continue to fly in space to honor their legacy." He's thinking about the legacy of his son and the crew on the night of this most horrific accident. And I'm trying to figure out how I will honor them, because I've been told that I will not fly in space by the flight surgeons who give me that ability by signing off or not. We fly to the different memorial services around the country. On takeoff and landing, there's a person sitting beside me and watches me clear my ears on descent in the airplane. When I'm ready to go back to Houston after this program is done, I get a call to come visit the chief of all the flight surgeons. Richard Williams says to me, "I've been watching you, and I believe in you. Here's a waiver for you to fly in space." And I fly back to Houston, I present this waiver to the doctors, and soon after that I get assigned to a mission. Everyone asks the question, when you're sitting on millions of gallons of fuel made by the lowest bidder, what are you thinking? And for those 3.5 hours, I was preparing my knee board, I was preparing my pens and pencils and things to make sure I was ready to go. I was going over procedures. But for the last hour, I thought about what David Brown's father said: we must honor the legacy. And I started thinking about everything that I was going to do to be perfect, to honor that. 3, 2, 1, liftoff. We're shaking, we're rattling. My head is moving so fast that all of the screens are just blurs. And after about 2.5 minutes, the solid rocket booster is jettisoned. And now we're going to space. 6.5 minutes later, the main engine's cut off. I'm undoing my seatbelt, floating next to the window, and I look out at the Caribbean Ocean, and I can see all of these colors that I cannot describe. I see 32 different shades of blue that exhaust my ability to define what I'm seeing. It's magical. It's an incredible feeling of weightlessness. And my job is now to install this Columbus laboratory to the International Space Station using the skills that I honed on a video game. And I'll never forget when I got this assignment that the European Space Agency had been waiting 10 years to get this thing installed. And I was in mission control with about 10 German flight controllers. And they had been waiting for this to get installed, and they were kind of high-fiving me and chest-bumping me and saying, you know, "This is great, you're going to install our baby." And as I walk out of the room, one guy stops me and he says, "Mr. Melvin, we've been waiting 10 years. Don't screw it up." And as I move the hand controllers and move this Columbus laboratory closer and closer to the space station, the motion just stops. And in the back of my mind, I see this German flight controller saying, "I knew he would screw it up." One pull on the translational hand controller, it's now docked to the space station. And everyone in Europe is like, "Leland, Leland, Leland." I thought that would be my aha moment. Our primary mission objective, install the Columbus laboratory. But what happened next changed me forever. Peggy Whitson, the first female commander, she invited us over to the Russian segment to have dinner. She said, "You guys bring the rehydrated vegetables. We'll have the meats." So we float over with this bag of vegetables, and I get to the service module, and I can smell the smells of my mother's kitchen. The food is wafting through my nose. It's warm. People are congregating around the table. Some are floating, some are on it, some are below it, but they're there. And we're having this meal with people we used to fight against, Russians and Germans, at 17,500 miles per hour, going around the planet every 90 minutes, seeing a sunrise and a sunset every 45 minutes, while listening to Sade Smooth Operator. This was the moment. I flew over my hometown, Lynchburg, Virginia, and I looked down, thinking my parents are probably having meatloaf. My mom loved meatloaf. I love meatloaf and mashed potatoes. And then 5 minutes later, we're flying over Paris, and Leo Eilhartz is looking down on his hometown where his parents are probably having wine and cheese to start off their meal. And Yuri's looking off to Moscow where his family's probably having borscht or pierogies. We were seeing the world in the flash of an eye. And we were doing it with people we used to fight against. This is when I had the cognitive shift in my brain. It's called the orbital perspective, or the overview effect. And you feel connected to everyone as we go around the entire planet. It's something that I have to bring back as an astronaut. Of the 452 American astronauts, our job is to bring that back so that every student in this room knows that they're connected to everyone else on this planet in such a powerful way. And that the knowledge that these incredible teachers have given them and these incredible parents have instilled in them, and this wonderful foundation that has made these things possible will propel them on to combine these things to change not the world, the universe. I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so inspired to see the work of what you do to show your best what they can do and what they can be. I think there was one person that raised their hand that said they wanted to be an astronaut in here earlier today. It was my very tall friend who's going to the Air Force. I hope you make it. I want you to wear this suit. I want you to go to the moon. I want you to go to Mars. I want you to do exactly what you want to do. And that's for every student in here. Believe in yourself. Dr. Lord, you said, Mark Twain, the two most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you figure out why. Figure out why earlier than later. And that way, on that journey, you know exactly, laser beam focused, like catching a pass in the end zone, what you're supposed to do. Thank you, everyone. Godspeed on your journey. Thank you, Oklahoma, for what you're doing for our kids and our teachers. Have a good night.
Thank you, Leland Melvin, for that marvelous reminder of possibility, that every journey begins with exploration. You belong to an exclusive club, one of a handful of humans who have had the astounding opportunity to peer at our planet from the heavens, this beautiful tiny blue sphere circling in a vast sea of darkness. Your hard work and dedication made your journeys possible. And all journeys have a starting place. It was President Kennedy calling to you, though you couldn't have known it, nor could he, on that sultry September day in 1962 at Rice University, when he challenged this country's brightest minds and steadiest hearts to take us to the moon, because the President said the vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension. And so we choose to go to the moon, he said. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things not because they're easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. And so we did. The challenges of the 1960s have given way to those of the 21st century. Some are familiar, others brand new. A new generation of Americans is tasked with confronting them and overcoming them. And the students we honor here tonight, and who gather on this stage one last time this evening, and the teachers and parents who nurtured their curiosity and steered them to self-reflection, from Oklahoma's tiniest crossroads to its bustling cities, still answer that challenge from the President that echoes across the decades from that football field at Rice University in Houston, Texas. They are here tonight, these young people, as Oklahoma All-State Scholars, because they did not take the easy way out. They chose hard. They accepted the challenges along the way, because when others were willing to settle, they asked instead, what if? Why not? How? When? Is there another way? Could it be? Imagine if. Never stop asking questions. Never lower your expectations. You are ready to shoot for the stars. Ready for liftoff from this stage tonight. 3, 2, 1. And as your plume of discovery arcs across the heavens of your future, we will be there, always in your heart, watching you soar, watching you cross that distant horizon, rooting for you always, with supreme confidence and unconditional love. And now, as we end this evening, won't you stand and join in the singing of this country's most marvelous state song? You know the words, Oklahoma. Have a lovely evening.